Now at 5, battling inflation. The cost of goods at its highest in 4 decades. Experts weigh in on if there's any relief in sight.
Big concern is for the firefighters on the ground.
Washington County wildfire, how crews are working to get a handle on the blaze. And beating the heat as the weather warms up, how Salt Lake County officials are helping the public keep cool.
Live, we're there for you. ABC 4 News at 5 starts now.
And good evening, I'm Emily Flores.
And I'm Nick McGurk in for Glenn Mills. Thank you for joining us tonight.
We do begin with that weekend heat wave across the Beehive State. How the weather is affecting the response to wildfires in portions of Utah is what we're looking into.
Yeah, ABC 4 News is there for you with team coverage tonight. Southern Utah correspondent Jordan Verdadero is standing by with an update on the Dalton fire burning in Washington County.
But first, of course, let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy with a first look at the forecast today. Alana.
Hottest day of the year in Salt Lake as those temperatures climb well above average. We're 10 to 15 degrees above the norm. 96 in Salt Lake at this hour, 105 in St. George, where down there in southern Utah, they are under that excessive heat warning. 90s along the Wasatch Front, even Logan in those upper 80s. Clear skies from our Dixie Tech camera. The heat is on and it's dangerous heat. Down there in Washington County, this excessive heat warning has now been extended. It's going to hold through the entire weekend, and we don't get much relief into the overnight with those 70s expected for lows. Now, it's not just the Southwest desert. We're also dealing with heat advisories on the eastern side of the state, also now holding until Sunday. That does include near Moab, Castle Valley, the Swell, Hanksville, down towards Lake Powell, where triple digits are expected for both Saturday and Sunday. So this is early season heat, folks, and it can sneak up on you quickly. And we know with these above average temperatures, once you add any bit of breeze to the mix, you get very dangerous fire conditions. Looking at the southern portion of the state, you can see the Southwest desert, breezy, gusty at times with 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts. Not good news when it comes to fires and spreading flames, which is what's happening down there in southern Utah with the Dalton Wash fire. Right now, the fire crews are facing triple-digit temperatures, sitting at 103 near Virgin, Utah, where that fire is burning. Any bit of wind can easily spread those flames. We've got very dry fire fuels. Where are we when it comes to progress? Our very own Jordan Verdadero joins us live from Washington County. Jordan, what can you tell us with what crews are facing?
Alana, officials tell me they believe it started after a car crashed near the area, and the fire is currently burning at 300 acres. That was recently confirmed by BLM officials. But there is another fire ongoing in Tokerville, so these resources for these firefighters are being stretched very thin. Five structures are currently being threatened, and an evacuation remains in place for nearby tiny homes. Fire crews are expecting a busy weekend after the Dalton Wash fire started Thursday around 6:30 p.m., prompting an interagency response, including aircraft. 100 personnel are on the ground, and officials say they're expected to be working through the weekend.
Big concern is for the firefighters on the ground. The temperatures are really hot. We've got a heat warning throughout southwest Utah. And the other concern is new fires. We're hoping that we don't get new ignitions.
Fire restrictions are in place, and officials are asking people to please follow those and be safe this weekend. Reporting live in Washington County, Jordan Verdadero, ABC 4 News.
Thank you, Jordan. So hot out there. As Alana mentioned, the temps, they're going to climb this weekend into northern Utah. But Salt Lake County officials are helping you escape the heat. Now, the county's Aging and Adult Services is operating cool zones. They're opening this weekend at various county recreation centers, libraries, and senior centers. Officials say the cool zones are air-conditioned, they're locations where the public can beat the summer heat, hydrate, learn about county programs, and possibly meet some cool new people.
All right, a scary situation for a Davis County resident who suffered an allergic reaction to a wasp sting while home alone. Davis County 911 received an emergency call Wednesday night from a patient reporting they were having trouble breathing after they were stung by a wasp. Emergency crews were dispatched to the home and found the patient unconscious. Paramedics were able to revive the patient en route to the hospital. Now they are expected to make a full recovery.
How about this? More than a dozen young men are safe and sound tonight after just a scary situation in Garfield County. Now, emergency crews, they rescued a large group of men after they were stranded in the SANDTHRAX slot canyons. Officials say they're safe now, but it took a Department of Public Safety helicopter and a rope rescue team to retrieve the stranded young men. Authorities say rescuing the trapped boys, it would have been really difficult without that aerial assistance. They're warning anybody who plans on hiking or recreating outdoors, be aware of your surroundings and choose activities that match your skill set.
And new at 5, a warning from Utah Highway Troopers to check your towing hookups as you head out on the roads. UHP posting these photos on their social media pages yesterday of this rollover crash in Weber County. Now, luckily, there were no injuries in this crash. With the official start to summer just days away and many Utahns looking to take to campgrounds, officials stress the importance of knowing how much your vehicle can tow, don't speed, and increase your following distance. And a new inflation report bringing some ugly news for consumers.
Yeah, we all have basically felt this, right? This inflation report did surprise the Federal Reserve, though, and investors. New numbers showing inflation growing at the fastest pace since 1981.
Inflation is absolutely crazy.
The grip of inflation is tightening, and we feel the squeeze every time we squeeze the pump.
My pockets are starting to get empty, just like my gas tank. It's just been awful, and then no one is spared.
New numbers out today confirm what we all know. Inflation is soaring. But Kempsey Gardner's James Wood says homeowners are hurting less over the last year.
In the 5 major counties, housing prices went up 24%. The median price went from $491,000 to $610,000.
For homeowners with fixed-rate mortgages, they've seen a rise in wealth. And as they pay back their mortgage, they'll pay back in dollars that are worth less. But renters, Wood says, are hurting most.
It's a real struggle. You got to choose between gasoline and food.
As Wood explains, there's a lot going on. Start with more money pumped into the economy during COVID, then added wealth with all these rising home prices. Consumers saved during this time, Wood says, and they're now ready to spend. Then take the war in Ukraine and these constant supply chain issues.
All Western countries are experiencing high rates of inflation.
I don't see any correction in sight. This is really, really painful.
So the question is this: are we heading for a recession? And Wood told me there's a lot of expert opinions, and they do differ, but he says today's numbers certainly make a recession more likely.
All right, and Utah Senator Mike Lee addressing the latest inflation report. He's blaming, quote, wasteful government spending for the high inflation rate. He's introduced a number of bills to fight inflation, including the Price Act. It requires a 3/5 majority of senators to approve new spending measures when the nation's inflation rate is at or above 3%. He says his bills will help slow the rising burden on American families.
The reactions are pouring in from the first primetime public hearing of the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack. Now, footage revealed of a rioter reading a tweet from President Trump criticizing then Vice President Pence for refusing to block Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. The committee arguing far-right groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys planned the insurrection for weeks. A new testimony from a Capitol police officer knocked unconscious after trying to hold the line against the rioters.
It was carnage. It was chaos. I can't even describe what I saw.
The committee's next public hearing is on Monday.
And in our coronavirus coverage this evening, the White House is lifting COVID testing requirements for international travelers. So starting on Sunday, travelers will no longer have to test negative for the virus before getting on a flight to the U.S. The CDC says based on the science and data, this requirement is no longer necessary. We spoke with several travelers here at home to see how they feel about it all.
Personally, I definitely want to know my status, and I'd want to know if I was positive or negative for sure before I entered an entirely new dynamic and, with different people.
I'm certainly glad for it. I think it's about time. I'm tired of this pandemic. Hopefully that it's over and the restrictions are over.
The CDC saying it will do a reassessment of the rule in 90 days, but if a new variant emerges, the agency may consider reinstating the testing requirement. And the annual Strawberry Days kicks off tomorrow in Pleasant Grove. The week-long event featuring family-friendly events, a car show, food trucks, parade, and the Strawberry Days Rodeo. And the Miss Pleasant Grove pageant, all in downtown Pleasant Grove. Festivities begin tomorrow morning and run through Sunday, June 19th. You can find more information all on our website. Just head over to abc4.com.
Well, a man who thought he was helping his landlord needed saving too after things went sideways. Robert Emmons' fight to clear his name is the focus of tonight's Justice Files. We first told you earlier this week about Emmons trying to evict this man from an Airbnb in Utah County. His landlord, a woman, wanted the man out for violating house rules, but he refused. That's when she asked Emmons' help. Emmons, who just retired from the military, grabbed his handgun and confronted the man.
And that's when he started becoming very verbally aggressive, and still refused to leave. And then he lunged out of bed at me. I drew my sidearm, chambered around, had it pointed towards the floor.
But police arrested Emmons instead and was charged by prosecutors. Tonight on the Justice Files, his efforts to clear his name.
And still ahead, senators are split on how to proceed with Social Security, what some lawmakers want to do to address the problem.
And these are your ingredients for your weekend in southern and eastern Utah. Extreme heat, fire danger ramping up, and gusty winds by the time we hit Sunday. We've got to talk about the warnings that are in effect and what you need to know in Utah's most accurate forecast.